a hard time either. And my listenership keeps growing. So I think I survived those blips.
Yes, indeed. I think one of the biggest killers of podcasting is that treadmill I talked about earlier. It's people feeling like they have to get a show out every single week, and suddenly it becomes a drudge, and suddenly you start putting out rubbish content because you just have to get something out. Consistency is a great thing. I mean, I would say getting 7 shows out of 8 out every 2 months. Like if you miss a show every month, every couple of months, I would say, 7 out of 8 manage. That is consistent. That's so consistent compared to most people. And your listeners will forgive you taking a week off every couple of months. Absolutely no worries. And particularly if you take the seasons-based approach, it just makes sense that you're going to do, 2 or 3 months worth of stuff and then take a month off. And actually you can use that month to be better next season, because you can survey your listeners. You can take a month to actually listen to what they're asking. You can get their feedback and what they want to hear next time around. You can try a different format. You can experiment with things, because there's this natural break that gives you that freedom to change things up. So yeah, I think a lot of podcasters have to give themselves a bit of a break and actually take that break, refresh themselves and come back and give their listeners a better experience because they're rested.
I've seen some people, Colin, who are producing 2 podcasts, and maybe one of them is like their weekly show, or it's the 35, 40-minute long show. Yeah. And then they're doing something different, which is like a 2-minute or 5-minute show. What do you think of that?
I quite like the idea of catering to different formats. And I mean, still within the podcasting format itself, but to different listener types. So I definitely have different types of show I listen to at different times, or different contexts, I should say. So if I'm going for a drive, like if I'm driving over to see a friend on the west coast of Scotland or something, it's a 2-hour drive. So I'll stick on a Tim Ferriss episode, because I know they're always an hour and a half, 2 hours long. They go quite deep. I'll get some good entertainment at the same time as learning something. So that's what I'll do. I'll take a long show. But in the morning when I come downstairs, I've sometimes got, not always, but occasionally I'll get like 10 minutes of peace before the kids get into the kitchen. So sometimes I can peacefully make my coffee and a little bit of breakfast in 10 minutes, and I'll stick on a short show at that point. So if you were making an episode on a weekly basis, which was 7 or 8 minutes long, which gave me like a really nice sort of tight bit of information I could go and do something with that day, I would be more likely to put that kind of show on at that time of day. But I'll never put on Tim Ferriss at that point. So I think it does let you, if you do cater to those different types of context, then it does give you that opportunity to branch out a bit. The one warning, of course, being that talking about that consistency, that kind of overwhelm, like often it's a struggle enough to get one out a week. So don't put out something new and different at the expense of the existing show. I would always say best to do one thing really well than a couple of things in an average way.
No, absolutely. I would agree with that. I love the medium of podcasting, and people say, how do you learn stuff? And that is how I learn. And I am the person who listens walking their dog or in the gym. And it's just so convenient. And the days that you forget your earphones.
I'm frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, I've dropped the kids at school, I'm going to walk the dog, and I'm like, where's my earphones? Get really annoyed. And part of it, sometimes I thought, what if I walked along with my phone just like blaring out into the air? Would anybody else mind? That makes me worry about my attention deficit, though.
Yeah.
Colin, in terms of how you work with people, how do you work with people? Like, do you teach people to start from scratch? Do you set podcasts up for people? What way do you work?
Yeah, for sure. The first stop is always our blog. So people find us when they're just searching standard questions, and they can read about how to do it. We've got a how to start guide on our main website, which thousands of people go through every week. I love being able to help people in that way. Just give them a starting point to get a podcast out there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
If people want more help, they tend to go from there to joining our academy. So we have a Podcast Host Academy, which is a membership site where people can sign up, and they basically get much more in-depth coaching there. So video courses, and they can get live coaching and stuff like that, like actually talk to me and Matthew and the team. From there, we've got Alitu, which is our software, which people often use to set up their show and run on a week-by-week basis. And then I suppose the final level is that one-to-one stuff that you're talking about there, like actually helping people set up a show. And we don't do so much these days, actually, because we love doing the content, and we actually love just putting that stuff out there. So we try to concentrate on that. But we do work on production projects every now and again, stuff that just comes along that's really interesting and fun. Yeah, we do work with some people on setting up their podcasts.
Do you know, just out of curiosity, do you know how many podcasts you've had a hand in launching?
So our blog gets around a couple of 100,000 visitors per month. So it's a couple of million a year.
Wow.
People visit our blog. And the people we actually work with personally is dwarfed by that number. So I'm not sure. Somewhere in between 2 million and 200.
That's amazing. What a legacy. What have you done in your life, Colin? I helped 2 million people launch a podcast. That's brilliant.
I do love it, actually. It's just, it makes me just thankful every day that I get to do this for a living, because it's just so much fun, and it's a proper job any day of the week.
I feel very much the same way. It's like, you know, I don't know what your partner thinks, but my husband is like, you know, Louise, do you never stop working? I'm like, but I don't really feel like this is work.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, it's your hobby almost. Yes. It just happens you get paid for it as well.
That's great. The other thing, Colin, that you have developed for yourself is a speaking career.
Yeah, I've done a fair bit over the last few years. Yeah, for sure.
How did you get into that? Did people, you know, when did you start speaking? Did you run local workshops, or was it your network? I know you're close to Edinburgh, so maybe it was the Chris Mars event in Edinburgh. How did you start?
I started actually in the university days. So it's a big thing, I suppose, presenting your work when you work at university. You know, you do a bit of research and present it. So that was where I had the first experience of it, was just going to a few events a year when I was working at the uni and presenting the research and the work I do. And the first time I did a podcasting one was with Mike and Isabella Russell back in 2014. They ran an event called UK Pod 14. And it was one of the... there had been podcasting events years before that, but they kind of died out. This was the first of the new breed. And I did a talk at that around how to start a show. And from there, I just loved that. I loved getting into that community and just meeting those people and getting to know more podcasters. So from there on, I just ended up, I talked to, like you say, at Chris Mars event in Edinburgh, a few around the UK, and I've spoken at quite a few internationally too, like Pro Blogger in Oz, a few in America, like Podcast Movement and the like. I do really enjoy it. I've kind of cut back in the last year. I only do certain ones now because I do really enjoy it, but it doesn't really help the business.
Right.
It doesn't do the stuff that I really want to do, which is to reach as many people as possible.
Yes.
Help as many people as I can start a podcast. So me writing an article for our blog will reach way more people than going to an event and doing a talk. So I have to balance it out that way. But it is still great, and it's always lovely getting out to meet more people in the community. So I still go and do a few a year at least.
That's so interesting, because here in Belfast, I spoke at an event last week called Think Network, which was really great. And a lot of people will say to me, I want to be a speaker. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things, Colin, that yes, I want to speak on stages, but I don't want to speak on too many, because like you, I've got small kids. Well, they're not that small anymore, but it's time away from the family as well. And part of you thinks, you could do like online summits and online coaching and really push your business forward that way, as opposed to, well, for me, to be invited to go and speak in Australia would be amazing, obviously. But at the same time, how long do you have to take away from your family to do that kind of stuff? So I understand that you're saying, for me, that would be why I would keep it to a fewer number per year, possibly as well. Yeah,
for sure. And there was a couple of years there where I was away every couple of months for like a week at a time. And it's partly family, it's partly the bit like, even when you're away from the business for a week as well, it's like it's a week either side as well for preparation and all that stuff. And then, and the kids, my kids are quite small too, so it's missing them and stuff. And so it's definitely worthwhile. But I think a lot of people get into kind of addicted to the thrill of it, which I did for a little while. A lot of people overestimate how much effect it has on your personal image as well, in terms of your visibility, your personal brand, that kind of stuff. When actually you can build that really easily and more effectively, I would say, in many ways from your office, like just creating great content and putting stuff out there that way.
That's such good value, I think, for people who are listening to this, because I think people think if they speak on stage in London and Dublin and they go to an international conference to speak, that their business is going to explode overnight. But what we're really saying here is put the work in and create the content. And you can that's how you'll build your business, really.
Yes. Yeah. I think, and again, this is something I was guilty of at the time as well, is that a lot of people feel kind of put out that they're not being invited to speak at more things, or they're being turned down for applications and stuff way before they're ready. And I want to, right now, what I'm concentrating on is building a great blog, a great website, a great resource about podcasting, building a great tool to help people podcast, which is Altitude again. And once they're great and successful and out there in the world, people will ask me, it'll come to me when it's ready, when it's perfect.
Yes. I mean, I can't believe the numbers of people that are reading your blog. That's phenomenal. How did that grow, Colin? How long have you been doing that blog?
2011, so a fair time.
Yeah, fair enough.
and how did it grow? How did it grow? Slowly.
It took me 8 years to create this overnight success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean that's the kind of the answer nobody wants to hear, but yeah, it was.
I know. That's so true.
Yeah, it doubled every year, which is good.
Good.
Up until last year, but I mean that is still taking a long time to get up to good numbers. So yeah.
And how often would you put a blog out?
We do 2 a week these days.
Wow, that's brilliant.
So 2 posts a week. And we've experimented with different frequencies, like 3, like we did daily for 3 months at one point. That was when Matthew and I were just beavering away, just writing as much as we could, try to cover as many questions as we could.
Yeah.
But it was too much, actually. And it was good actually for the month or 2 just to cover those. We did like 40, 50 most commonly asked questions. And that was a good bit, a good bedrock, a good foundation for this site. But from then on, that was actually, it would have been too much to do, to continue.
To keep up. Yeah. But that gives you a really good, solid base, doesn't it, as well? To have that.
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. All right, Colin. Well, I've really loved chatting to you all about podcasts and podcasting and speaking and blogging and everything. For people who want to learn more from you about how to get started in podcasting, how do they reach out to you?
They can always find me at thepodcasthost.com, or similarly on Twitter, it's just thepodcasthost. That's probably the best place to ask a question.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Colin, for coming on the podcast today.
No worries. Thanks for asking me. It's been a pleasure.
No worries. Bye. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Social Bee podcast. Come and join us over at www.socialbeeni.com and let's start creating a buzz about your business. And if you like what you hear, please pop over to iTunes and leave me a review. I'd really appreciate it. See you next time.